Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living your life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary, to engage in this world consciousness shift? Welcome, my friends, to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, my friends. Recently, my wife and I made a trip into Napa Valley because Napa Valley was beginning to reopen their businesses and you could actually go and sit down and enjoy a meal. So we took advantage of that and made the short drive up to Napa Valley. Had an incredible meal at a French restaurant there. And we really had some incredible interactions with all of the staff there. And you could tell everyone was just so appreciative of the experience, that we got to have this kind of experience again, and we got to interact with one another. We spoke with the manager on duty. We spoke with the wait staff that was helping us that evening. And everybody was just so happy to see one another and to be back to normal doing their job. It was a very heart-opening experience. And the food and atmosphere was incredible as well. So we got to enjoy that. And this got my wife and I thinking, because prior to enjoying this wonderful dinner, we were walking around downtown Napa. Some of the shops were open. You could walk in and shop for things and look around and what have you. And we walked by a little wine tasting room. And they had a sign in the window or on the door, and it indicated that they could only allow like two parties at a time in order to observe some distancing. And there was no one in the place other than one young lady that was sitting behind a counter. We said, why not? It's been 2.5 months since we've had much of anything for an experience, let alone a nice, relaxing wine tasting experience. So we walked into this establishment. What this young lady said to us was quite interesting. She said, "We are not open for experiences, but you're welcome to buy the wines that are on the table in front of you." Her wording was very mindful and concise and direct, explaining exactly what the situation was. So she was doing her job very professionally. And my wife and I nicely declined, the opportunity and walked out. And as we were walking down the street, one of the things that we began talking about is how we went in there for the experience of the wine tasting, not just to buy a bottle of wine. I mean, it's Napa Valley. You can do that just about anywhere. So that brings us to the primary topic of today's show, the incredible importance of experiences. For all of you who have read my book, Expansion Mastery, you know very well how much I stress upon the importance of experiences and how it is the things we experience in our life that allow us to attain a sense of spiritual expansion. And while it is said that we can't take things with us, and this is true of all material things, the truth of the matter is there are some things that we take with us that remain in our consciousness when we are no longer in body and mind, but there's still something there. This is why there are prodigies, right? Like a very young child that is masterful at the piano or the guitar or art or cooking or whatever it is. So let me break this down just a little bit for you. And there's a lot of information on this in my book and previous podcasts. But here we go. So in our essence, let's say formless consciousness, pure conscious awareness, which is our true self, the real thing that we are. When there is no more body, there is no more mind, there is no more identity, this is what is left, whether you want to call it a soul or a spirit or whatever you want to call it. We usually refer to it as pure conscious awareness. Now, when you are still in body and mind, the experiences that you have, do they directly affect the pure conscious awareness? And the answer to that is yes and no. When you cut your finger, does that affect your pure conscious awareness? Have you cut that? Obviously not. If you have a headache or even if you have a serious brain issue, does that affect your true conscious awareness, who you truly are? No, it does not. However, the experiences that we have that enrich our lives and allow us to grow, it touches that pure conscious awareness. It gets into that. There's something there with it that stays with you even when you are no longer in body and mind. And it's something at the very core of the experience. For instance, if we experience something very horrific, physically and mentally, does that affect our pure conscious awareness? Well, obviously not physically or mentally, because there is no physical or mental nature to it. Okay, but there could still be some mark that is left upon our conscious awareness. The same thing goes for positive experiences, right? We can enjoy an incredibly positive experience that leaves us physically and mentally ecstatic. Does that affect our pure conscious awareness? Well, in so much as the vibrational frequency of it, yes. See, that's how these things can imprint on our pure conscious awareness. It's primarily due to vibration. Why? Because that's what your pure conscious awareness is just energy, pure energy. So it has a vibrational frequency. And in this way, we can understand that spiritual expansion happens through very positive and new experiences that take us out of our comfort zone. See, when we are out of our comfort zone, we are expanding. And there is the nature of that expansion itself that we do get to take with us. There are many spiritual theories, some of which are more nihilistic, where nothing you do in physical and mental form have any bearing whatsoever upon your conscious awareness. But if we look at the idea of reincarnation and we look at how there are prodigies and how people have memories and emotions and things that come back to them, things they're attracted to, or things that they like to stay away from for some deep reason that gives them a strange feeling that they can't quite put their finger on. This is one of the ways we understand that there are things we do take with us that come from our experiences, because we can say that these experiences do not affect our pure conscious awareness, but our pure conscious awareness is pure energy. So we know it's vibrating, and we know that when we're having an experience, especially a great experience, our vibration is soaring. And those are the things that leave a vibrational imprint on our pure conscious awareness. This is why so many of us have an affinity for things ever since we were a small child, and we just don't understand why. We can't explain why, right? What do we usually claim? I've just always loved that since I was a kid. I don't know why. I just have. I just love it. This is the idea of how it works. So that's a very condensed version of this. It's much more involved to explain, but hopefully you get the gist of it. So while my wonderful wife and I were experiencing a fantastic meal in Napa that day, we were discussing how much of a push there has been since this whole pandemic thing to no longer allow experiences, to push everyone into a virtual simulation of an experience. And the governments, federal, state, and local, and all the politicians have been pushing this extremely hard for the past 2 or 3 months, right? And they want church services to be held virtually. They want high school and college graduations to be held virtually. They are pushing for any important experience, as well as just everyday experiences, to become virtual. But has anyone stopped to ask themselves why? And they have pushed businesses into creating virtual simulation experiences in an attempt to survive, claiming how this was going to be the new normal. Well, we reject that form of new normal, and I don't blame any businesses for doing this. I got to talk to a lady from one of the wineries that we belong to about this sort of thing. And she was saying that, they have virtual tastings now. And when she had called about a shipping matter, I said, can you explain what you do with that? And she said, well, you take out your bottle of wine, we take out the same wine, or we can send you a bottle that we're going to explore together, and then, we sit on Zoom and talk about it and take you through it and kind of taste it together. Okay, fair enough. And it's not a terrible thing. I understand they're trying to survive as a business, and it's necessary to try to do something. But at the same time, that didn't appeal to me in the least. I want the atmosphere of the winery with all of the sounds and the energy within the place. I want actual personal interaction, which goes beyond just verbal and is energetic, enjoying some of the amenities of the winery, right? So if we look at this, something like a winery, out here, each one is unique. They have their own feel. They have their own energy. They have their own focus. And it's amazing. You have to go to the winery to get the full experience. And they even have the higher end wines and special wines that you don't even know exist, that are only available if you are at the actual winery enjoying the totality of the experience. And it's an entire experience. You get to go there and sit and relax in this amazing atmosphere, soak up the energy. You get to interact with amazing people. See, it's about the experience. You get to taste together. You get to actually be together. And this matters because when human beings are close to one another, there is an energetic interaction. Our hearts try to open and connect. Our electromagnetic fields are interacting. There's an incredible interaction that takes place when you're in this area all together. So are some things clicking yet? One of the things taking place right now is that our ability to have experiences in life is being limited. This is really what's being locked down. Limiting our experiences and interactions with one another, because that will end our spiritual expansion. And if you don't think what's going on right now has something to do with a spiritual war, you're mistaken. Look too at the staying 6 feet apart. See, at 6 feet apart, you're getting to a point where your electromagnetic fields aren't interacting with one another, where your hearts aren't open and connecting to one another. You see what's being done here? You can't have an experience with another human being when you have to stay that far apart. Not a true experience, not the experience that is happening underneath the surface, under your words, under your actions, from an energetic, vibrational standpoint. This is happening, and it's happening to every one of us every day whenever we interact. And the experience of that interaction is more powerful when we are closer together. And this is why making love is one of the most powerful experiences we can share, because that's when we are physically and energetically the closest. So all of this stuff with the mask where we can't interpret each other's micro expressions and things, all these things that normally take place in an interaction between people, and then the distancing to limit the amount of energetic interaction we have, the isolation at home, the virtual version of experience, how they want children in schools to no longer have recess, to interact and play together. At hospitals now, they're not allowing any of the staff, doctors, nurses, any of the staff at all, to eat together at lunch in the cafeteria. They all have to keep distance and eat alone, keeping them isolated. And look at the restrictions on many of the businesses as they start to open up. They're stripping the human interaction aspect out of the experience, leaving it simply mechanical. All of these things are meant to divide and conquer. They separate us. And they separate us on many levels, not just physically, not just mentally, energetically and spiritually. There is a great divide right now because there are many people who are perfectly content with this. Why? How can this be? Because they have become so entrenched in their own head. Their ego has inflated to such an unsustainable level that they just prefer to live like that. And in turn, they are the ones that embrace all of the virtual simulations of experiences. So where does that all go? It's a way of conditioning and programming people towards a technocracy. That all began with the video game living in the basement culture. But those of us who know better, who have not been conditioned or programmed by this already, who long for our experiences to return, we are the ones that have to make sure it happens. We're the ones that have to rise up, both physically, mentally, and vibrationally. We have to rise up. We have to demand our experiences. We have to take our experiences back. This is vitally important. Without these wonderful experiences that we can have in this beautiful world, we are not capable of spiritual expansion. And if you don't yet understand how to be mindful and how these things are happening within your experiences, then I really recommend that you start going through the mindfulness practices, because through that, you will become capable of experiencing this, of understanding it, of having it be in your awareness. You will be totally conscious of it. I know because I've trained several students. I've trained all kinds of people over the years. And even now I'm having students that are working with me on this, that I take them through, and they're telling me, oh my goodness, now I know what you meant by mindfulness, and I don't see things like I used to, and I can see more things and understand more things. And this is incredible. This whole life is going on. This whole layer of life was going on, and I had no idea it was here. That's what mindfulness is. That's why it's so important. I mean, like I said, we had this amazing dinner, and because everybody was in such appreciation of one another and everybody was there enjoying the experience, you don't think that it had a tremendous impact on everyone? Well, when I looked over and saw my wife's eyes filled with tears of joy, I had all the confirmation I needed. And when we were finished and leaving, I stopped the manager and spoke to him for a moment and expressed our appreciation for the job they were doing and how well they were handling things, and the fact that they opened and serving incredible food. And even his eyes began to get a little glassy. See what I'm saying? This sort of thing doesn't take place in a virtual simulation. Our experiences in life make us who we are. They are so vitally important. Without life's experiences, we have no spiritual expansion, and we lose our sense of humanity. Experiences in the real world allow us to embrace that humanity, to treasure it, and to allow it to help us to expand spiritually. This is why, since day one, I have stressed the importance of experiences in order to live a fully engaged life. You have to have mindfulness, and you have to start getting out in the world and having experiences. And when you have attained the mental state of mindfulness, there is no small experience or big experience. Every experience is incredible. Every experience is important. No experience is taken for granted. We even saw that some travel agencies were offering virtual trips now. I understand the businesses have to do what they have to do. I can't fault them for that. But that's an incredible waste of time and money, because it doesn't matter how you try and convince yourself. It is not the same thing. Trust me, you can watch a video someone takes of themselves going down one of the pathways, the tunnels down into a lower chamber in one of the great pyramids in Egypt. But you do not get the smell. You do not know how the limestone feels. You don't know how the incline feels. You don't know how it feels to have to crouch down and walk in this little crouched position. You can't understand just how long of a walk it is and where it goes and how to get this feeling, the energy within the pyramid, right? The energy that is there within the pyramid itself. And then what is down in some of these chambers, like there's very special spots that all revolve around vibration. You can't experience any of that virtually. The simulation is nothing like the real thing, and it never will be. So both my wife and I are very, very pleased to see things opening back up and experiences being allowed once again. But we have to remain vigilant, because as not only Bill Gates, but the WHO, World Health Organization, has stated, that was only one. That was a trial run. There's supposed to be something else happening this year. And I have heard that it will either be October or in the winter sometime. Probably around the U.S.'s election time, huh? So please be aware of that. But in the meantime, we get to start to reclaim our life, and not the new normal. The normal. Our experiences, not virtual things. One great thing in understanding human beings is that we are creatures of habit. So I don't think it will take too long, if we are allowed, without some other catastrophe coming into place soon, if we are allowed, we'll return to normal, because that is our habit already. So in this way, even the most mindless of people have a good chance to getting back to normal. Hopefully I have opened your eyes a little bit to this aspect of what's going on, and you're able to become more mindfully aware of just how important experiences are. Like I said, I stress this in my book, Expansion Mastery. I've stressed it since day one in instructional videos and this podcast. So refuse to allow anyone to dehumanize you by stripping you of life's experiences. And as soon as you are able, get out there and start experiencing. Take your experiences back. This is what is crucial for your spiritual expansion. And without it, you can never come to know the joy of living a fully engaged life. And just for a little clarification, because of the times we are in, living a fully engaged life and being mindful is not the same thing as being aware of what these corrupt politicians are doing in the world. Okay? That's just basic awareness. There are levels far, far beyond that, right? I hear a lot of people talking about, oh, I'm awake, and it's like they can see through the illusions that are being perpetrated out there. Sure, to that degree, absolutely, and that's fantastic. I commend anybody who's even made it that far. But what I'm explaining here is that mindfulness takes you to a whole different level. And living a fully engaged life is about far more than just being able to see through the illusions of the external world. It's also being able to see through our own delusions. It's the ability to live with an open heart and a high vibration, and to attain these various mental states where we can transcend the mind and leave the ego behind. It's about the capability of remaining present. And I'm going to go so far as to say to remain ultra aware within each present moment, because that's what that is about. Embrace your life through experiences. And through those experiences, you may just attain a sense of spiritual expansion. If you undergo the practices of mindfulness and authentic spiritual practices and meditation, then you will undergo the incredibly powerful transformation of spiritual expansion. So get out there and live fully. I am certainly looking forward to getting back out and having wonderful experiences with many of you, to see you in person again, and to share some incredible moments in time as we share this grand adventure of life. Please visit me at www.expansionmastery.com. You can check out everything there. Go to the store. You can get an autographed copy of Expansion Mastery, where I discuss the importance of experience more thoroughly. And, of course, there is a fantastic ebook if you are desiring to change how you are experiencing your life. So go there, get that stuff. There's more products to come, all kinds of good stuff on the way. And I'd like to continue to thank all of you who continue to support this podcast and these teachings. Please make sure you're sharing the podcast with as many people as possible in order to help others as well. And I thank all of you who continue to leave comments for me and give me the thumbs up and subscribe and suggest to your friends that they subscribe. All of that stuff helps immensely, and I am incredibly grateful for every single comment, every single like, every single subscribe. So thank you very much for your support. Let's get out there and have some wonderful experiences together. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in your practices and your life and all of your experiences. Take care.